Welcome to my channel. Today I want to be discussing on batch reactors. Introduction to batch reactor. A batch reactor is the simplest type of reactor vessel that can be used in chemical or industrial processes. A typical batch reactor can be something as simple as your cooking pot, and then a reaction tank. Any vessel that can contain reaction comfortably could be termed as batch reactors. So right from simple vessels to more complex ones. So these reactors come in different shades and have components like agitation system, where the mixing takes place. Then we have the entrance for the feed, and then the exit for the effluent. That's where reactants come in, is where you see there as medium, and then where product comes out is where you see there as effluent. So for a batch reactor system as this, you charge in the reactant, give it some time, and then by the time the reaction is complete, you now open the exit valves and then you discharge the product. So that's how typically a batch reactor work. So some reactors you might need to heat it, some you might need to cool it. So we have the thermal jacket. So at the thermal jacket, you can either pass in the heating source or the cooling source. Okay, so then you also have the sensors. As the reaction is going on, you may be interested in monitoring the temperature, the pressure, or the concentration. So that can be made possible by use of sensors. Okay, so at the same time, you might also want to control the system. That's as is occurring. The temperature is now placed within some limit. Either the temperature, the pressure, the concentration placed within some limit. So that would depend on the level of control and instrumentation that you want to have for your reacting system. So batch reactors find many applications in fermentation process, where ethanol is produced, alcohol, and so that's where you use batch reactors. Batch reactors are also applied in pharmaceutical for drug production. Then they are also used to study the reaction kinetics and thermodynamics of processes. In the process of scaling up industrial operations, either you want to use a stator reactor later on, or a plug flow reactor. The interesting thing is that you can use batch reactor to obtain the design parameters, the kinetics of the process and the thermodynamics. You can get that through a batch study, and whatever results you have can be scaled up to the commercial large scale with several other contacting patterns for the process. Batch reactors also find application in wastewater treatment. When you are trying to take care of the biological oxygen demand in a process, chemical oxygen demand, you want to degrade the organic load in wastewater. So batch reactors are very useful at this point. So in designing batch reactors, what do you look at? When we say design, we are looking at obtaining optimum parameters that you can comfortably run your system with high level of efficiency and reliability. So what parameters do you estimate for batch reactors? Now the first is the volume. You want to know what size of tank, what size of reactor am I using, and then there are design equations that can give you that. So in our subsequent videos we would do step-by-step method of estimating reactor volume. So you can get you estimate the volume of the reactor, so that you don't get something that is too big or too small for the process. So you also look at the reaction time. How long should the reactant stay in the tank, in the vessel, reacting vessel? How long should you leave it? Okay, so that talks about the reaction time. Although in using batch reactor, reaction time is just one of the time parameter that is needed. We have time for charging, we have time to raise the temperature of the reactant to the temperature that reaction will take place. We have time for cooling. We also have time for discharging, cleaning of the reactor. So but reaction time becomes a very important parameter to estimate for a batch reactor. Okay, so we also do that in detail subsequently. You'll also be interested in getting the concentration time trajectory. For processes, you'll be required to know at time 0 what to be the concentration, at time 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 2 hours, 3 hours, what to be the concentration for the process. So this can be plotted in a graph. So this you obtain by getting the concentration time profile, a trajectory. Also the temperature time trajectory for processes that are operated adiabatically. If temperature is not constant, you would be interested to know what will be the temperature at every time t, so that at this level we know how to control that temperature to avoid runaway reaction where things go out of hand and then the reaction becomes explosive. So we study the temperature time trajectory using batch reactors. And also what you estimate is the mechanical, the instrumentation, sorry for the spelling there, the instrumentation and the control. So the mechanical, you estimate what type of agitator are you using, and then how would the blade be like, the sizing of the blade, the sizing of the shaft, the rotor speed. So all those you estimate in the course of designing your reactor. The level of instrumentation and control. Are you going to control the time? Are you going to control the temperature, the pressure, the concentration? What control strategy do you employ? Is it going to be discrete control, just off and on control? Is it going to be cascade? And then you factor that. So at that level we move on to talking about are we using a PID control scheme. Then you estimate the parameters to tune the reactor, to tune the controller. So those are items that you look at in designing a batch reactor. So in design, construction, operation, and control of processes, the starting point is understanding the principle of a batch reactor and batch processes. And it's a very good start for chemical engineers, chemists, pharmacists, and food scientists, food engineers, and every other person that is related to the business of converting raw material to useful resources. So I hope this video has been of advantage to you. So click the share button, comment at the comment section, subscribe, and share it with friends. Thank you very much.